Hello and welcome to ovesen.net. Today I'm taking a look at this TRS-80 from RadioShack. Machine is not working, so my job here today is to try and figure out what's wrong and try to repair it. The machine is of course a bit dirty and dusty, and thus it needs the required cleaning and care, so I'll do that. TRS-80 color computer PAL version. So this is the European version, and it also has a European power plug. I never had one of these in my possession before. And I don't think they were very popular here in Norway. At least I never heard about anyone had one. The TRS-80 color computer was released in 1980 by Tandy and Radio Shack in the United States to compete with the Commodore. It contains a Motorola 6809 CPU, and the earlier versions actually had a Z80 CPU, and that's where the name TRS-80 comes from. Video display generator VDG chip, the MC Motorola 6847, that is capable of producing a picture with 256 times 192 pixels in 9 colors. The memory ranges from 4 up to 512 kilobyte, and the version I have here is the Model 1, the 26 3002, and it has 16K memory. If you've seen the unboxing video where I unpacked this one, you probably remember that I tested it and it blew a capacitor, so and it gave me a little bit magic smoke in the room. Anyway, now it's time to go back to the machine, and I start by opening the case. That was all the screws, really long and solid screws on this one. Alright, this is the inside. I don't know if this machine even works. Only thing I know that I blew a rifa capacitor when I tested it, and at least that has to be fixed. But before I do any repairs, I'm gonna remove everything from the case and clean the case and the keyboard. And the keyboard has just this flat ribbon cable. Just pull it right up. The inside looks okay and not anything obvious. The rifa capacitor that blew is on the power supply, so this machine has a built-in power supply, which is this one here, and the capacitor sits here. So here's a bit of something that has spilled, need to be cleaned. So I just continue with unscrewing the motherboard action. Lots of screws on this one. And I don't know if there's anything under this box. The power supply connects to the board with these connectors here. So just remove them. There seems to be one screw under this one, so I just remove this cover. I guess this is the CPU MC6883P. No, I'm not sure. Anyway, there's a screw there. Final one, I think. So now I might be able to lift away the whole board. Yeah, seems like that's going to happen, yes. Then there's one more screw for the power supply, and luckily there's a hole so you can access it easily. That's the power supply, and the live is coming in through these connectors here. These are special types I never seen before. So and here is the capacitor that blew and gave me some magic smoke. So I'm gonna start by replacing these 3 capacitors. Alright, that was the disassembly. Now I'm gonna clean the case, and then we go on with the rest of the repair. For cleaning, I just spray with this Jif window cleaner and let it work for a while, and then I put it in a hot water bath with dishwasher soap. The keyboard is a little bit dirty. I'm gonna spray it with some isopropanol, and then just wipe off with these cotton wipes. I'm not gonna open the keyboard now because I want to test it first, if it works or not. So it's quite dirty. Cleaning the motherboard, I just start by blowing some compressed air to get away most of the dust. Then I use some more alcohol, isopropanol, and spray. Just wipe it off with something. These cotton pads are good for cleaning a motherboard. Then I just go over the whole board with isopropanol and use cotton swabs to clean. Next up is a round of electronic cleaner for all the contacts and the switches. So that's it for cleaning the motherboard. Looks shiny and good. Now to the repair part, and the first thing is this massive power supply, a transformer. The power supply is, seems to be very simple design, and it has no less than 4 fuses, and I have measured all of them, and they all are okay. The fan you hear is my desoldering station heating up, and I'm gonna did you see that? All 3 are 4700 microfarads. I think I have those in stock. So I'm gonna desolder these points here, and these are very thick traces, so I probably need to crank up the temperature, so I set it to 425 degrees Celsius. So time to desolder. Away with the old shit, in with the new. Before I solder in the new capacitors, I'm gonna clean up the solder pads because they are a bit dirty from old solder tin and flux, so I put some new flux on first. Then some solder wick to remove everything. So this sucks up any leftover solder tin. But it also heats up my fingers. Damn. Little bit of alcohol and just clean off. I said these were 4700 microfarad, but they are, I actually meant picofarad. We got new ones here and they are 0.0047 microfarad, which is the same, if I can focus, which is the same as 4700 picofarad. Since these are meant for AC powered, it doesn't matter which direction you put them in. On with some flux and then just solder. Alright, here we go. The flux is doing its work. Since these are large traces and big solder pads, you need a lot of heat, which I have. Okay, that looks good, so I'm just trimming off the legs and then cleaning, removing the excess flux, then we're good to go. Alright, that looks fine to me. Hopefully these will last a few years. This one is a little interesting. It says Nordisk Mikro, which is Nordic micro, and yeah, this means that this power supply was produced in the Nordics, in Scandinavia, perhaps. I don't know. I tried to Google, but I couldn't find anything about that. That was the power supply, and I am assembling it now. I'm gonna test the machine before I do anything else to see if there is any life in this machine. So I just placed the mainboard loose like this. Then I just connect the power to the board. Hopefully I get this power cables correct. That's always a good idea to take a photo of the board and everything you do while you work on the machines. Finally, black. I realized I had to rearrange these wires because they're supposed to come underneath this power supply board and between here. Okay, I'm gonna turn on the power and hopefully it will go better than last time. I am a bit anxious, I must admit. Okay, turning on. Okay, so nothing seemed to happen this time. That's a good sign. Now I'm gonna tune in my TV to get a picture from this machine on some TV channel. This machine only has an RF output, so that's why you have to tune in on channel 36 on the TV. So I guess this one could be modified to get the composite signal out if you want to. I'm just touching some of the chips to check if they're warm, and they actually are, so that means that there are power to this board. It actually found the channel C36, so that's a good sign, I guess. Okay, there is something. Pretty poor picture. Extended color basic 1.0, copyright 1980 by Tandy, under license from Microsoft. Well, this machine is actually working, that's a good thing. So I'm trying to fine tune, and as you can see, it actually holds on to the green screen for a while. Then this might be the TV, I don't know. I'm gonna try another antenna cable just to rule out the cable. So I better not touch anything here with high voltage power just inches away from my fingers. Alright, that looks a lot better, I think. Alright, now we're good. I actually just turned it off and on again, and then it came in with a green background, which is the normal color. This is actually same background color as my Laser 200 computer, which I have featured in a video a long time ago. If you want to watch that, just click up in the corner. I attached the keyboard and just gonna test it. Yeah, seems to be working. Excellent. Syntax error. So just writing a small basic program. As always. Machine is working, however it's almost 40 years old, and it's about time to replace the electrolyte capacitors with new ones. And I found all the different values. I noted all the values, and it needs different kinds of values, but this big mama here, I don't have this one, 10,000 microfarad. But all the rest I'm gonna replace with new ones now. Damn, this was an annoying kind of shield. Alright, there it is. So now I also can remove this. Alright, time to desolder some caps, and I better do a good job because Kjell Ove is watching this video, I know that for sure. The first cap I'm gonna replace is this 2200 microfarad. It's rated for 25 volts, I got 50 volts, so it's safe to go higher in voltage as long as you don't go very high. So I wouldn't put in a 300 volts when it's supposed to be low voltage. The polarity is marked on the side of the capacitor with a minus on this side, same on this, so it's important to put them in the correct polarity. I'm gonna solder in one capacitor at a time, so I don't get confused and mix up any values. Then some soldering. I'm not gonna show all the capacitors being replaced, so because that's just boring work. So I'll show you this one, then I go on with the rest. Although some people think it's relaxing to see the soldering process. And of course I cleaned up the solder pads before I soldered, and also I'm gonna clean off the leftover flux. Alright, that was all 14 caps replaced with the brand new ones, except for this big brother here. This I have to replace at a later time, just have to order it first. Recapping is kind of a hard work and takes a lot of time, and you have to be very accurate. So then it's giving a moment to test if it's still working. Alright, it does, except yeah, picture, but I don't think that has anything to do with recapping. Anyway, the recapping seems to have done no harm, at least, so I'm pleased with that so far. This TV is actually kind of bad at tuning into the analog signals. There are actually some resistors that variable resistors that you can tune the picture, so I actually got it more stable now. Oh, that one seems to have to do with the color. Anyway, this was a great fun. The machine is working. Picture is very bad. I really want to do some composite video modification or something, so I'm gonna investigate a little bit on that. But for now I'm gonna assemble the machine and then maybe see if I can try some programs, and also see if I maybe can load some games onto this machine. Alright, so it's time to assemble the machine, put everything back in reverse order. Keyboard need to go back into its connector, and that's just to slide it down. Then of course the screws. machine is completely assembled and ready to receive some programs. With the machine working, I would really like to see some software running on it. And I don't really want to type in any long program because I don't have time to that. So I was thinking there must be some way to get some games or software into this machine. The machine has a 5-pin DIN connection at the back, cassette here. So I was thinking, even though I don't have any tape drive or anything I can use on this machine, maybe there is a solution. So I'm thinking about downloading games or programs as audio files and try to load them on this computer. I have done that before on Spectrum machines, and however I don't have a cable I can use, so but this is the pinout for the connector, so I might be able to create a cable, make one myself. All I need is this data in line, I guess, which is pin 4 and 2, so I'll look into that. So I looked through my cables and I found this which has a 5-pin DIN plug in one end and then video and audio plugs, RCA plugs in the other end, and this is used on my Commodore VIC 20, so maybe I can use this one. I don't know what kind of pins is used to connect to the RCA plugs on this one, so I have to measure with my multimeter, and perhaps pin 4 and 2 is one of these, and I can actually connect these to some audio device generating audio for the computer. So let me try and measure the conductivity between the ground on the RCA plug and pin, ground, seems like ground on this 5-pin DIN with pin number 2. Yeah, that actually seems to be the same wire, yeah. And I measure the yellow RCA, and that actually is connected to pin 4, so that seems like I can use this yellow one if the direction is correct, if it's if this drawing is seen from the same direction as seeing against this plug. Otherwise it won't work. And I actually got this adapter here that goes from RCA to 3.5mm mono plug, so I can just plug it in like this, and hopefully this might work. I don't know. If it's not working, I have to make a cable, and to make a cable I could use either this adapter here, which goes from 5-pin DIN to 3.5mm, or this DIN plug that I can solder some wires to. So I went to the colorcomputerarchive.com, and then I searched for a few files for the color computer and downloaded. Here's a lot of games and everything you need, software, games, utilities. If you download one of the zip files, you'll see that most of them contain two files. One is the CAS file, which is a backup of the tape, and the other is a WAV file, which is the audio wave representation of the contents of the tape. So you can actually start this on your computer just to listen. So that's the familiar sound of the 80s, I guess. Anyway, I'm not exactly sure which kinds of files would run on the TRS I have. I guess I have the Coco 1 with 16K, and here's all kinds of different types. So I try different ones and I upload them to my OneDrive. Then I connect the cable from the cassette port to the audio output on my iPad. And here's the same folder inside the OneDrive app on my iPad. So let's listen to some of them. Alright, hopefully this will work. I think the command for loading from tape is cload. And then I just try Guardian and press play on the iPad. Alright, it actually found the Guardian, so that means the cable is working. It is transferring data from the iPad to the computer. So I checked a little bit more, and it turns out that in order to load a machine code program you need to type cload M. Phone Guardian. Yeah, seems to be working this. It's blinking. I guess that means there's progress. The thing is, I don't know if these files are too big to fit in the memory or not. Okay, it actually loaded without error. So how do we run? I tried list and there's no program, and I tried run but there is no program to run. It probably just loaded a bunch of code into memory, machine code. But how do we start a program? I need to do a little bit of research before I continue, I guess. Okay, this is all new to me, but it's supposedly the command exec to run. Okay, it was. How nice! Press any key to start. Okay, how do we control? I can't find any way to control the spaceship, so I guess you need a joystick, which I don't have. Let's try something else. Arcanoid. Alright, it produces an I/O error. Alright, I found another game called Railrun. Exec. Alright, rail and runner. Okay, this one you can at least use the keyboard. So you use the arrow keys on the keyboard. So I guess the point here is to run between these, what can they be, enemies or men. It's almost like Frogger. Alright, I got one. Alright, that was it for this video. Great fun from the 80s, great machine. I never had it in my possession before, so this was really exciting and new for me. And hopefully this machine can live on for a few years more. So thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and please subscribe down below the video if you want to see more. Thanks, bye bye.